Hello, welcome to Gen Z Finance. I'm an older Gen Z here on YouTube documenting my financial journey. So for today's video, we are going over my November 2020 budget wrap-up and closeout for the month. I'll be reviewing and revealing my spending, savings, and net worth updates for this month. And before we begin, I wanted to plug my most recent video where I walked you through how I will be rearranging my budget for 2021 and beyond. So make sure you check this link up above. And then don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Also, check the link down below to try YNAB for yourself. If you hit that link, you'll get the 34-day trial. And then if you end up subscribing to YNAB, both you and I will get an extra month of YNAB for free. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. Now, generally, I go through about 7 steps at the end of every month to close out my budget. I actually walked through all of those steps in detail in my October 2020 budget review, which I'll link up above. Check that out if you haven't seen that yet already and you want more details about the 7 steps, because for this month, I've already gone ahead and done the first 2 steps off screen, which is to make sure all of my on budget and tracking accounts are reconciled, which they are. So I'm going to go straight to step 3, which is to cover any overspending or move money around as needed. What I'm going to do is look at this available column and scroll down and just look out for any yellow or red overspending. So here we go. I have this overspending, and I can tell it's overspending because it's this kind of orangey yellow color, and then it has the credit card icon, and I need to cover this overspending. I'm going to cover it with money from holding. So I've gone ahead and covered that overspending. $12 is now budgeted. That is all my overspending that I had this month. So next we're just gonna move money around as needed. I'm actually gonna flip back into October because you might have remembered, if you've seen any of my previous videos, I actually bought a new MacBook in October of 2020, which is what all of these transactions are. Here it is. And I was waiting for my final trade-in value. I traded in my old MacBook. I sent that into Apple and I was waiting for them to process that, and finally got that back, and they gave me $130 back for my trade-in. So I went ahead and inflowed that directly into my electronics category, and even though I got it about midway through November, I just backdated it to October just so that all of the spending and everything related to my MacBook was in 1 month. And you can see here I have $139.08 available to me. So I'm going to go ahead and move this to that MacBook and AirPods category. And so my available is now down to 0 in that. And again, we're still in October. So if I flip into the wish farm, here is this category, and the $311.76, that is pretty much how much I was under budget for. So that is how much of the money that I budgeted into this category that I did not actually end up spending. And so if I flip to November, you can see this $311.76 is still in there, and I'm just going to move all of that to holding because I no longer need it in my MacBook category. Okay, next thing I need to move is, now we're going to actually jump forward to December and move up to monthly varied, because you can see here I have $200 available in my gas category, and longtime viewers know I only ever need $120 available at the beginning of any month. And since I didn't actually spend any money on gas in November, the $80 that I budgeted into December is just unneeded. So I'm going to move $80 of gas into to be budgeted. So that will bring the money up there. And now we're going back to November, and then I'm going to send this $80 back into holding. Okay, so that was all for step 3. Now step 4 is to actually review my spending and savings for this month. And the way I do that is I actually use YNAB reports. So we're going to go to income versus expenses, and we're going to look at November 2020. And you can see that my income for the month in total was $2,972.26. And then this represents 2 full-time job paychecks and then 2 part-time job paychecks. And I got a little bit more on my latest part-time job paycheck than normal because I worked an extra 2 hours 1 week. And then for spending, I had my normal $400 that I send to my mom every single month. I had my normal $10.98 in subscriptions, and that was for Kindle Unlimited and Apple Storage. I had no yearly subscriptions. And then for monthly varied, I did some spending. I spent about $26.04 in dining out, and I know on the 6th I got Zaxby's for my mom and myself. I just picked up lunch for both of us and I just treated her. And then on the 15th I also treated her to Starbucks, and then I got a drink as well. And then I got 5% back for that Starbucks purchase from Chase. And then in other/miscellaneous, I spent $32.98, and that was 2 Kindle books from Amazon, and then just like a spreadsheet I downloaded. And then I did a little bit extra for giving. I did $8 over the $20 that I normally set aside, but extra spending for giving is good spending in my opinion. It's always better to spend more for giving, I think, than less. So I'm fine with that. And then here's where the big spending comes into play for under my sinking funds. It is November, which means it's time for me to start buying a lot of gifts for my family for Christmas. So in November, I bought $488.48 worth of gifts. Now, like I said, most of these were Christmas gifts. And then I believe I talked about this a couple times back in October, but I originally wrote my dad a check in October for $150, and that was a combination of his Father's Day gift and his birthday gift. I was just giving him like cash because he's impossible to shop for, but because I forgot to sign the check, he couldn't actually cash it, and so I didn't get to see him again until November. But I rewrote the check to him, I signed it, and he was able to cash it, so I moved that transaction from October into November. And then everything else, as you can see by the date, it all happened the past couple of days. I just bought a bunch of gifts for Christmas, and I actually wanted to go ahead and flip into my separate budget that I've set up in YNAB solely for gifts. So I actually posted a video a while ago on my channel about the several ways that you can handle gift spending and budgeting in YNAB. And in that video, I actually walked you through how I use a separate YNAB budget to more precisely track how much I have budgeted and spent for each person for each event, whether that be their birthday, Christmas, Mother's Day, Father's Day, whatever. So I'll link that video up here if you want more details, but this is the gifts budget that I have set up for 2020, and you can see it's broken down into events, birthdays, and then Christmas. This is actually how I know how much money I have left for each person. So you can see here that I'm actually under my Christmas budget by quite a bit. If I open up the 2020 gifts budget will show you I have $431.04 left in this unlinked account. So that is how much I have left to spend for Christmas. And to be honest, I am kind of not sure how I'm going to spend that much money. I don't really think I will. We'll see how December goes, and if something comes up or if I find something that I just like have to get for someone, I'll do that. But I also don't want to just buy gifts for people just to bend down my budget. Like if I think that they won't really like the gift or it's just going to clutter their home, like I'm not going to go out and buy the gift. So who knows, I might transfer a lot of the money that I have left over maybe into a bigger like donation or giving for the month of December. So we'll see. But again, check out that video if you want to get more insight into how I set this up and how I track things. But we're going to flip back to my report on my main budget. And so yes, this month I spent $488.48 on gifts. And then I had a transaction underneath my dad category, which is how I track extra cash spending or giving that I give to my dad. And so when I wrote that $150 check to him this month, I also gave him an extra $50 on top of that. And then this $12 is the $12 that we covered with the overspending at the very beginning of this video. And I just bought a domain name off of Google, and it was $12 for the year. So I don't know if I'll do much with the domain name, so that's why I'm not really saying much about it. But if I do, I just have it, and I think that's good. And then the final expense was for my Roth IRA, the $500 that I send there every month, which means that in total I spent $1,548.48. So taking my total income for the month minus my total expenses leaves me with the $1,423.78. And then before we move on, I did want to go over to the Toolkit for YNAB reports and then click on this income breakdown report. This is one of my favorite reports because it actually shows you the percentages for each expense and your savings. So like I said, this net gain is everything I did not spend. So from everything I brought in this month in November, I did not spend 48% of it. And this is particularly interesting because people know I budget ahead. So the money that I'm actually spending in November is not actually the money I earned in November. It's money that I earned in October or September actually. So it's good to know even in a really expensive month with all the gifts that I bought this month, I was still able to be positive cash flow. Now we're going to flip back to the budget screen, and I wanted to mention these two statistics up here in the upper right hand corner, age of money and days of buffering, because I haven't talked much about them for a while. So if you're unfamiliar, age of money is a calculation that YNAB gives you, and what this means is that on average of my last 10 cash transactions, the money that I am spending is on average 169 days old, which means it's been cash that I've had since June 12th of 2020. And so this compares directly to days of buffering, which is a calculation that actually is in the toolkit for YNAB. And if you don't know about the toolkit for YNAB, I will leave a link down below and also link a video up here where I actually walked through some of my favorite features and showed you more about the toolkit for YNAB. But days of buffering, instead of looking at how old the money you spent was, days of buffering looks at, based on your average daily spending, how long could the money that you have in your budget right now last you if you never brought in another cent of income. So this calculation is more forward looking. And so in this case, my current cash on hand could last me until January 28th of 2023 based on my average daily spending. They are interesting statistics and kind of fun to keep an eye on and see how they fluctuate whenever you have like a big purchase or you get a big paycheck or anything like that, but they're not too important. But I wanted to mention them because I will be losing these data points when I start my new budget in 2021. Now we're going to move on to the next step and review my net worth. So first, I'd like to look at how much I've contributed this month and how much growth there has been this month for all of my retirement accounts. So for that, I'm going to go over to this All Accounts button, and I've already filtered this to only look at my 401k, HSA investment, Roth IRA, my FICA alternative plan, and then my M1 Finance brokerage account. So these are all of my tracking accounts and my investment accounts. If I select all of these pre-tax contributions, you can see up here that in total, I have contributed $1,732.53 this month to my retirement/investment accounts. That's a number that I'm happy with, that I'm pleased with. I'm glad to see it. But the really incredible thing that I wanted to mention is the growth this month. So I'm going to unselect all of these and then select all of the transactions that have the payee as the market, because this is how I track gains and losses. And you can see this month I had gains straight across the board. And up here, I actually had $1,695.92 of gains. So I had $1,695.92 in growth, which is only like $40 less than I actually contributed this entire month. So my accounts grew just based on the market doing really well this month by almost the same amount that I put in this month, which is incredible. This has definitely been the highest my accounts have ever grown in 1 month that I've been tracking, or really since I've started at all. That is like crazy. The entire month it did really great, as you can see. So I'll go ahead and expand this, and then you can just take a quick glance at what my current balances for each account are. And then we're going to go into the reports here and then actually view my net worth graph. So my net worth for November is $36,841.25. So my net worth is now officially over $35,000, which was actually my stretch goal for 2020. Originally, my goal was to have reached the $30,000 net worth by end of year of 2020, and you can see I actually reached that in September of 2020. So then I said, okay, my stretch goal for this year is going to be reaching $35,000, which I've now reached in November. So I guess that means like the next step would be, how close can I get to $40,000 by the end of 2020? I would need 40,000 minus 36.8. So I would need about $3,200 to reach that goal, which could actually be doable for December because December will be a 3-paycheck month. So it's definitely possible. But then again, who the heck knows what the market is going to do in December. So it could also very well be that the market did really, really well in November, and then for whatever reason in December, the market could see just as big of a loss. So I'm still going to be investing as normal. So I expect to be able to put another $1,700 or more into my investments in December, and then we'll just see what happens. But it's definitely possible that I could actually be reaching $40,000 this year, which is crazy. Okay, so step 6 in my monthly wrap up is to actually record any money wins or any events that happened this month that impacted my finances either positively or negatively, and I usually do that in the notes section here, but I'm just going to do that off camera just for time's sake. And so the final step is to review next month's budget and make any changes as necessary. So as we go through December, nothing's going to change with my responsibilities to my mom. That will be the $400 as normal, but I do see some stuff under subscription. So you can see here I had the stars line item, and I should have talked about this back in November, but I completely missed it. I did a free week trial of stars and I needed to cancel by November 18th. And so whenever I start a free trial, I always just add that line item here under subscriptions because I'm always looking at my YNAB budget, and this is like a surefire way for me to remember to cancel it. So you can see I had that note here and I did go ahead and cancel it. So I'm just going to delete this because we don't need that. Speaking of canceling, I actually canceled my Kindle Unlimited subscription, which means I no longer need this money. So I'm going to move this $9.99 down to holding, and then I will just delete this goal. So now that that is done, next in monthly varied, we already moved out the gas category. And then the one thing I wanted to note is I only have about $28 left in this other/miscellaneous category, and I'm just going to delete that goal too. And so that has to last me the rest of the year. It should be doable. I just need to make sure I watch that and don't go crazy with any random purchases. As we mentioned before, I might be moving more money from gifts into this giving category for December, but we will just see how that giving category ends up going for the last month. And then, like I mentioned before as well, I have $431.04 still left in gifts, which is all for Christmas. I don't really know how much more I'll be spending from this category, but we'll see. Everything for my sinking fund should be the same. And then underneath in savings. So in December, I will be meeting and finishing out some of my savings goals for the year. Most importantly, I only have to fund $402 left for my Roth IRA because I already have $97 available in here. I will be finishing that out in December and officially maxing out my Roth IRA for the first time, hopefully not the last time. A full $6,000 will be in this Roth IRA by December. And then I did want to create a new category underneath the savings, because if you've seen, again, my setup for the 2021 budget, then you know that I have a new category called 1 month buffer in there, where I will be placing a full month of expenses, which is going to come out to about $1,500 in that line item. And for December, I'm going to start saving for that. So we're going to call this the 1 month buffer. I will move this down here to underneath January money. And I'm going to create the goal of target savings balance of $1,500, and I need it by December 2020. So it's going to tell me I need to save all of that $1,500 this month. I'm going to do about $500 from my first 2 checks. And then, like I said, I have a third paycheck in December, so I think I'll use $500 from that third paycheck as well to fully fund this. And if you're interested more in this idea and why I'm doing it this way, make sure you check out my video on this. This money going into the 1 month buffer would be the money that normally I would be budgeting 2 months ahead. So the money that I would be putting into February, I'm just going to put into here. And then come January 1st, when I migrate to my new budget, I'll keep this $1,500 in the 1 month buffer category, and then the money that's currently sitting here in January money, I will budget out into January so that any paychecks I actually earn and receive in January 2021 will be budgeted straight into February. Again, if that didn't make sense, stick with me for 1 more month. I promise it will make more sense once you actually see me do it in action in 2021. All right then, I think that was everything I needed to do for this video. You will get my first budget with me for December this Friday, and I've got a couple of other videos relating to investing in my goals for 2021 coming up in the next few weeks, so please make sure to subscribe down below. Also, if you've made it this far, leave me a comment down below on some suggestions for what you would like to see me do for a giveaway once I reach 500 subscribers. I think I'm currently at like 435 or something. I want to do something nice for all of you guys for supporting me and giving me an excuse for talking about my budget more. So, but I want to get a sense of what you all would actually be interested in. So let me know down below. And as always, I hope y'all stay safe and healthy.